Welcome to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. On today's show, I have John Sonmez. Did I pronounce your last name right, John?
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
All right. Bulldog Mindset is a transforming yourself. John's mission in life is to become the best version of himself possible by pushing himself beyond his comfort zone, confronting his limiting beliefs, and among other things. John, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so this is a topical conversations about the ups and downs, the good and the bad, the ugly about dating. Here at the
Mhm.
show, we are strictly a conversation. There's no judgment, and today's topic is a good one. I saw John cover this a couple of weeks ago on one of his Instagram posts on how to ask a woman out. John, one of the things that I've noticed from me and some of my friends that when we talk about it, it seems that we have anxiety before asking someone out, whether we knock ourselves out through just marking off a checklist of, hey, she's probably with someone. Oh, she's out of our league. Oh, she's with friends. I mean, it's just constantly doing that checklist.
Right.
What do you say about that? First of all, how did you get into this platform of the Bulldog Mindset? What did you see out in the market that we needed your help?
Yeah, yeah. So I actually had quite a bit of a long journey here. I started off as a software developer, kind of geeky, nerdy guy, very shy, socially awkward, lazy, not very physically fit either. And in doing that business and just developing myself, I transformed myself, right? So I knew who I wanted to become. I started building my confidence and developing myself both physically and mentally. And so that really led to and really the big thing that helped me to do that was getting rid of the victim mindset, right? And so I realized that there's still a lot of guys were emailing me, had this victim mindset. And so naturally I progressed my content into what they would call the bulldog mindset. People would always ask me, how do I have that bulldog mindset? And so I made it my brand around that. And then I found that, a lot of guys do struggle with being men today and developing themselves as men, masculinity, dating for sure, but all of the areas of their life, and really it comes from this victim mindset. And so that's what Bulldog Mindset is designed to do, is to teach men how to become better men, to become the men that they want to become, and to have successful relationships, whatever that looks like for them.
So, John, do you see that maybe in this day and age with the millennials, or let's say, this last 5 to 10 years, have men in certain circumstances become softer? Maybe trying to appease the woman that they like, maybe taking more, for lack of a better word, gruff than they should. How do you see that playing out so far? And let's say in the last 2, 3, 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, definitely men have become weaker, right? Some people call it a simp culture. There's some rationale behind this, which is the wide availability of things like dating apps and Instagram, where women are able to see what their value is globally, and and men are. I think a lot of men are confused, and they're thinking that what they need to do is they need to be supplicating, and that they need to be softer, when in reality it's just weakness, right? Men need to be strong. They need to be focused on developing themselves. And there's just a lot of bad information out there. It's really difficult for men to find good role models, how to be strong and not to be a jerk, right? I think the balance is having a backbone and having boundaries, but also at the same time being a kind person, right? Being someone who is considerate. And a lot of guys have that confused right now, because I think to a large degree they haven't gone through tough times. We've been in a time period in history where things have been pretty easy, and hard times create strong men. We haven't had very hard times in a while.
So, it's funny that you say that. When I was younger, John, my tendency was to do the opposite of what some of my friends were doing in terms of being an ass to a woman and all that. And I try to be, a gentleman, open the door, be nice all the time. And I'm going to be honest with you, John, most of my time in the 20s and 30s, even to maybe my early 40s, it just didn't work.
Right.
Women would put me, I would get in the friend zone, and I would hate to admit that, but I want to admit it. I want to, to be transparent. And it wasn't until a few years ago, again, listen to guys like you and other people, reading books and all that. I just felt that I just put myself in such a tough predicament where I didn't want to be the asshole, but I realized that at times that you'll get your message across. What do you say to that in terms of trying to balance the good guy and
Yeah.
the a hole?
Yeah. I think it's a false dichotomy, right? I don't think that dichotomy actually exists. I think what the bigger question I would ask, because I would say that some of the stuff you talked about doing in your early 20s and 30s, that's the right thing to do, to be a gentleman, to open doors, to be chivalrous, to treat women with respect.
Mm,
But the thing is, what is the difference? A lot of guys say, well, those things don't work because that's, but being an asshole does work. And that's not really the truth behind it. The truth behind it is, why do we do things? See, I don't really care. I coach a lot of men too. And different things for different people are fine. The question I always ask is, why are you doing it? Right? Because why matters more than anything else. And so if you're holding open a door for a girl because you want to show how great you are, right? You want to impress her. You're looking for validation from her. You're looking for approval from her. That's a bad why. That's a weak why, right? It is nice guy syndrome, is being a people pleaser, right? A lot of guys do all these romantic, nice things for girls that they're trying to do this in order to get something from them. They're trying to get love back. They're trying to get validation. They're trying to get acceptance. And so that's the wrong why. And whereas, we see the asshole, and the asshole, he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He might treat women poorly and he has success. But why? His why is because that's what he wants to do. Because that he is doing things out of what he wants to do. So he's genuine. So he may be an asshole, but see, most people would rather be around and be in a relationship with someone who's an asshole but's genuine, because we
mm,
want genuine people, right? We don't want people who are doing things in order to get something from us, being fake around us, doing things out of obligation, right? These are all the things that the nice guy does. And so, and this is where the confusion is today. I think so many men are confused, especially on the internet, on YouTube, and all this stuff with the red pill and black pill and all the, the blue pill and
yeah,
all,
I've
all
been
this
seeing
kind of
that
stuff,
too. Yeah, I've been seeing that
right?
too.
Is that these guys think that, that it is one way or the other. It's this false dichotomy that you're this blue pill or the red pill, you're this nice guy or an asshole. And they're missing the fundamental thing, which is that you need to have a respect for yourself and a respect for other people, and you need to be seeking internal validation instead of external validation. See, a real man, his compass is his self. It's internal.
Mm,
So he decides what direction that he wants to go in life, and he uses his judgment as the guidance above all other things, not the judgment of the rest of the world, not the validation of women, not the validation of men. And that's really what the issue is, and that's why the asshole to a degree has more success. But that's not what women want either. They don't want the asshole. They want a man that has a backbone, that stands up for himself, stands up for her, could protect her, is not going to let her disrespect him or run all over him, right? So he actually, has that self dignity and respect for himself. So he's not going to tolerate being treated in a way they just want to be treated, but then treats her like she's the only woman in the world, like there's no other woman in the world. That is that thing that a lot of guys have, right? And the fact that they want to be chivalrous and buy her flowers and do all these things, but she has to deserve it,
mm,
and it cannot just be given away, and it has to be authentic, an authentic expression of, I'm doing this because I want to do this, not because I want something back, right? If even the guys, if you go up and you give a girl flowers, right, what do you want back? You want her to like you. If you're just doing it because
yeah.
you're just, if you were just this, hopeless romantic poet, let's say, and you went up and you saw some pretty girl and you gave her flowers, or you picked a flower and you said, you're just so lovely, I just want to give you this flower, and then you just gave her the flower and you just walked away, no one would think that you're a blue pilled simp or chump, or because you don't have anything in, you're not trying to get anything. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
And she would
right.
probably be like, oh my gosh, this guy, right? You see what I'm saying? So it's all
Yeah.
about why. And that's where people have gone so wrong. So many guys have gone so wrong. It's all about why. Like, why are you doing it? If you're doing it to seek validation, to get approval for any reason other than it's authentically, genuinely what you want to do, and that means that there cannot be any outcome attached to it, then you're going to come across as needy, desperate. That's where guys are creepy, right? It's because there's when you put an external pressure on someone else, an obligation. We don't like that. We never like that. We never like to feel that way. No one likes to feel that way, and so many guys are doing that instead of living their truth, being the man that focusing on themselves, right? They're focusing on reactions instead.
It's funny that you say that, John, because my why at that time was definitely want the girl to like me. I remember when I would go out and I would say, "Oh God, I hope she likes me." It wasn't until years later when I say, "Well, maybe I have to like her, not the other way
Right.
around." Um, I like it. I like what you said. Be genuine, respect yourself, have a backbone. And I think, and being honest on this show, I would be probably not have much of a backbone, especially when I was in my 20s, 30s, even early 40s, because again, I wanted to please her. I wanted to make her
Right.
happy. I wanted to make sure that she got what she needed. And I don't care if I got it. I just wanted to make her happy. And I'm going to be honest with you, 9 out of 10 times that didn't work. Anyway,
Right.
so now that you talked about that, the main topic is asking a woman out. And like I
Right.
said before, John, a lot of us knock ourselves out. I know I've done it. If I see a pack of women, I won't even approach one that I like. Or if I see the way she looks, I might just say, she's probably taken. You know what? She doesn't seem like a nice woman. What would be like some of the steps that a man could start by saying, shoot, okay, let me not knock myself out. What can I do to approach this woman?
Exactly. So again, we can shift the focus, right? If your focus is on what I just talked about, right? The
Yeah.
why, right? If your
Mhm.
focus is on, I want her to like me, I want her approval, I want to get a positive response, right? I want this girl to go home with me or go on a date with me, whatever it is, you're going to have a problem because that's going to come across as needy in many cases, unless your why is, I want this, like this, she should like me, of course she does, I want, that's what I want, and I want her to go with me, or I want to go, that's a different kind of a why, right? But if
Yeah.
it's a why coming from a place of, I need this from someone, it's you're going to be scared. I
Mm.
mean, you'll be more scared than you should be. If your why, if we shift this internal and say, as a man, if I see a girl that I want to talk to, I should be able to do that, regardless of if she's in a group of people or not. It doesn't have nothing to do with her. It doesn't have anything to do with her response or liking me. It has to do with me being a coward or not. And like, can I do the things that I want to do in life? There's no negative repercussions from this. I'm not going to get arrested. I'm not going to, it's not going to cost me money. Like, there's nothing that is physically going to happen to me or harm me in any way.
Right.
So if I don't do this, I'm not stepping up and being the man that I want to be for myself.
Right.
Right. See, now when you change it that way, and part of the psychology is understanding that the way that you grow in life is putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And so when I coach guys, I tell them, hey, look, I don't care. I don't want you to get her phone number. I don't care any about that stuff. I want you to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and stay there. And then you win, because I know you've grown, because you've leveled up. You just gained some experience points here. And that's what we're after, right? Because that's what we can control, from a Stoic standpoint of Stoic philosophy. That is what we can't control the reaction. And if we base our feeling or our worth on the reaction of other people, then we do not have control over our lives. We don't have sovereignty over our lives. Instead, we say, all right, I can always control the fact that when I am in a spot that is a fearful situation, that I can go forward and I can conquer that fear. I don't care about the reaction. I only care about, this is who I want to be as a man. That's got to be the focus, because
And
that,
showing your confidence, right, John? That's the
yeah.
main thing, is just being confident when you go up to her.
Well, I mean, because again, it's not it's really just developing yourself.
Okay.
Because if you continue to develop yourself and you become a man, right? If your standard is, I need to be able to do this, right? This
Mm.
is who I need to be as a man. Is I need to be able to do this. Forget about the results, right? I can't even call myself a man until I can do this, right? If that's your psychology in your head, then you're going to be doing this for the reason of developing yourself. It has nothing to do with her, right? You see the girl in the group, you want to go talk to her. So you're having a battle with yourself and you're saying, look, I'm going to win this battle with myself because I see this, I have direct control over. Every single guy listening to this has direct control over that, right? And they
Yeah.
can grow and improve themselves as a man in that direction. Now, what will happen after that, that we can get into the details of, but this is the key thing, is having the right reason for doing this, because you know that if you do this, you will grow and you will become better, and you will, at the very least, you'll become a more courageous man who you will respect yourself more. And as you start to do that, because confidence is not something you can fake, you will naturally be more confident. And the more confident you are, the more likely that you'll have success. Nothing will ever guarantee you success. Doesn't matter how good looking you are, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter how much confidence you have, right? But those aren't the things we should be at. We should be after doing the things for ourselves to grow ourselves.
Right. And the main thing I like what you said is be uncomfortable, develop ourselves by going to up to a woman, asking her, how's your day going, whatever that may be. And in
Right.
one of your videos that I saw, you said that if you wanted to ask a girl out, if I remember correctly, you said that, hey, I want you to attend something with me, like take the pressure off. Can you talk more about that? Because I like the way you framed it. It was I think
Right.
it was like maybe a 20-second video, whatever it was, but I love the way you framed it. If you could repeat that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I suggested is, for most guys, what they should do is, they're going to ask a girl out, is not say something to the line to the effect of, would you go on a date with me? Because you're putting her to a decision right there if she's attracted to you or not. Right.
Right.
And the attraction mechanisms between men and women work a little bit differently. Right. Women are obviously physically attracted to men from the beginning. They can see a guy that they're attracted to,
Right.
but there also place less of an emphasis on that. And so being around, being able to show your personality and who you are can benefit you. It can move her in the direction of attraction, even if she might not have been initially physically attracted to you. So if you go up to a woman and initially put her to the spot to basically ask her, are you attracted to me? If you say, will you go on a date with me? That's essentially what you're asking. She's going to, if she's not sure, she's going to say no, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a least risky thing for multiple reasons, some even just for her personal safety, right? So instead of doing that, don't put it to the test right away. Instead, ask something casual. Say, hey, I was going to go, I'm going, to this park on Sunday to go check out the view or go for a little hike. Do you want to come with me? Or I'm going with some friends to go bowling on Thursday night. Why don't you come along? It'll be fun, right? Something like that. When you're doing something like that, now you're making it where if she says yes, she's not saying that she's attracted to you or likes you, right? You're giving it her a chance to evaluate, because she might be in the phase. You might have walked up to the girl and she might have said, "Well, yeah, I don't know. This guy's kind of cute. I'm not sure though. I don't know." And he seems like maybe he could be creepy or whatever, right? Maybe she's got some doubts in her head, and then you say, hey, let's go for a date. And she's got to be like, no, because she doesn't want to put herself in this situation. Now, what if she says yes, and then you think that she likes you now, and then she's got to deal with that, and it's hard to tell a guy that you don't like him or you don't want to date him, and all of these things that you're not attracted to him, right? So, but if you make it easy and you make it something that is less committal, where it's like, hey, we're just going to this casual thing, then she's got the opportunity to say yes without committing to anything, and then you can see how things go. Now it depends, you have to use the psychology of this, right? It depends on, as a guy, probably what your reactions are, where you're at as far as women. If you're a very attractive guy, and that, and women have responded positively to you, then yeah, you can just ask her out for a date, or whatever. It's not a big,
Mhm.
because you have a higher probability. Or if you're already getting some signals from her, you're just talking to her and she's touching her arm, she's laughing, giggling, you can tell she's getting closer, then yeah, then it's fine, right? It's not a
That's
big deal.
kind of obvious right there.
Right. But if you're
Okay.
in kind of a neutral situation and you're not sure, and you want to take a low risk approach, especially someone that you've known for a while in a friend group or something like that, and you want to help things to develop a little bit more naturally, then go with that instead of the whole big thing that so many guys make. It's like, because I think where this applies to a lot of situations where a guy has some crush, right? And he's like, I've had this crush for so many years, and should I tell her that I like her? And then he does this big stupid thing. He writes this long letter, or he's like, I have to tell you something. I've had a crush on you for 2 years. Pressure, 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 pressure. Will you go out with me? And then she's like, Johnny, you're a really nice guy, and and I do value our friendship, and then I mean, because
Yeah.
so much pressure. Where if that same situation, the guy would have just played it cool. You can have a crush on her for 2 years, that's fine, but then just invited her to some casual activity. It wouldn't put that pressure and put that situation, right. The neediness is the thing. That's why all this comes back to, why are you doing things, right? You have to come back to the why, right? What
Yeah.
are you trying to get? What are you trying to do here? What is the why behind this? And if the why is very clearly, I need you to like me because I have a crush on you for 2 years, and let's go off into the sunset and have babies together, it's going to come off really, really needy.
Right. Wow. That I like, again, it's always come back to just be confident in yourself, and be, to me, uh have that assurance that you could do this. I
Mhm.
like the fact too, John, that you say, hey, I'm going to a group setting. And would it be possible to invite her to a group setting where maybe she might feel comfortable? Would you ever even suggest, like, hey, maybe you could bring one of your girlfriends along, whatever, maybe to make her feel a little bit more comfortable? Or that defeats the purpose of you just trying to have a one-on-one time, whether it's in a lounge, or like I said, in the park, or wherever it may be? Do we defeat ourselves if we say, hey, bring along a friend or something, because they might end up bringing a male friend along?
Yeah, again, it really depends on what the why
It all
is,
comes down to the
again,
why.
and the
Okay.
situation, right? So, it also depends on how much you know this person and whatnot, right? So
Okay.
if a guy were to just go up to a girl that he's never met before on the street and talk to her, he probably needs to make it clear that he has a romantic interest in her, right? You shouldn't be hiding that.
Uh,
So then in that kind of situation, I wouldn't say, hey, I'm going to go and do this thing. But also, you don't need to make it a super, super formal date. You can just say, hey, I was planning on going to this restaurant on Thursday night. Why don't you come with me? And that's an easy way of saying, okay, or talking about some activity that you guys could do together. You're still indicating some kind of romantic interest. You should be still saying something about making some kind of comment about her appearance or attractiveness, or joking around, teasing a little bit, so that she knows that is the case. That's,
gotcha.
now, again, like I said, the other situation
Mhm.
where it's a crush you've had for 2 years, that's where this would make more sense to invite to a casual type of activity, feel it out, that type of thing. So you kind of have to, think about what the situation is, and so the same thing applies to their, inviting a friend or something like that. If you're make it super casual, then sure, you could do that, but what could backfire is if you're not expressing any kind of romantic interest, right? So the idea is, and again, I think this is a key part of this, is that you should be flirting with the girl in either situation, because then you're at least expressing some kind of a romantic interest, and she knows that you might be interested. Because if you just are completely platonic, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go hiking with some friends, why don't you bring a friend if you want to, she's going to have no idea that you actually even are interested. You wanted there to be some flirtation going back and forth, but but not the pressure, right? That's why if
Right.
you're flirting with a girl and she's like, I don't know, maybe I like this guy, maybe I don't like this guy, can I get in a situation where I'm not put to the test, where I'm on this romantic date with him, and you know what I mean? So that's where that would apply a lot more.
Okay, we're talking with John Sonmez of Bulldog Mindset. Uh, I think the key that you said that I took, John, is be flirty with her, because you're showing
Hmm.
that you have some type of romantic interest. Whether you're making comments about the way she looks or what she's wearing, whatever, but just be flirty, because you're putting the intention out there that you are attracted to this woman.
Right.
I want to hang out with her. I'm going to ask her if she wants to hang out with me in this, like I said, in the park and all that. Now, we do that, we get the yes. Now, what happens in the situation now? Now, do we still act, we still have our why, we're attracted to this woman, I think I want to be with her, I like her. do we take another step and tell her at the event, or do we ask her out on a second set of another date where it's just me and her? How would you navigate that? If my question made any sense at all.
I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean the big thing is again is not to make this a big thing, right? The whole point of this was
Mhm.
to make it not a big deal. It's
Right.
casual, whatever and then the thing I think guys have to remember in all relationship situations is that the woman advances the relationship, not the
Right.
guy, right? So do not be the guy that's asking where do we stand or telling I really like you, I'd like to date you seriously or anything like that's not your job. The woman should be the one doing that. If she doesn't have a high enough interest to do that, then you having that interest is going to scare her off anyway. So don't ever do that. So in
Okay.
the situation where you're in a more casual type of thing, obviously you're going to be trying to get closer to her, having conversations with her, even if it was some kind of a group event, and maybe you're flirting, maybe you're seeing where it goes and getting a little bit physical, right? Just not anything crazy, but holding her hand or you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
putting your arm around her shoulder or something like that, something that you're indicating that, and you're seeing how is she responding, right? Because if you can develop that and she's responding positively, then you take it to the next step and you say, hey, how about I had a really good time. How about on Thursday night we go and catch a movie at this place, or we're gonna go out for, and there's this nice little Mexican restaurant that I like to go to sometimes. Why don't you go with me to that, right? That would
Gotcha.
be the next logical step. Again, you have to kind of read the situation and see how things are going, right? If you hit it off really, really well and she's expressing what I would say romantic interest, then yeah, then you can just take it from there. But don't there's no need to profess your feelings and all of these things.
Yeah.
That's just a bad idea. Let her bring it forward to that level, and you just keep it at a more casual level. That's what you should be thinking as a guy.
Yeah, like you said, let her advance the situation because yeah, I definitely get it now. So John, talk about your coaching program. When did you start it? How can someone get into it if they wanted to learn more about you?
Yeah, so I started probably, I mean, I've been doing it in some capacity for the last 7 years or so,
Mhm.
but I do coaching on a lot of different topics, really it's a holistic thing. So a lot of guys come to me to get some help becoming financially free with real estate investment and building a business, as well as getting their fitness and diet up. But definitely the dating and relationship part of things. So yeah, I help you with all of the things. Really, a lot of what everything sort of comes back to his mindset. And so I help guys to develop the right mindset in life, right? Some of the things that we talked about, just the pivotal shift in looking at not what you're doing, but why you're doing it. That's the critical thing I mean, I think you can analyze any kind of dating or relationship situation in terms of the why, and you'll be able to find the answer as to how you should act on what you should do. So yeah, so I offer that. If you go to bulldogmindset.com, or actually I have a program that goes into the whole financial freedom thing. If you want to get on a call with someone, they can also set you up with coaching as well. It's at start.bulldogmindset.com.
All right, sounds good. Well, first of all, John, I appreciate you so much for being on today's People on Dating podcast. Anything else you want to promote before I let you go?
No, I think I think that's it. Yeah, thanks for having me on here. I just would say, just for guys listening, that just be careful what you listen to. Like I said, that false dichotomy, I think, of the nice guy and asshole is a dangerous one that a lot of guys fall into. They become jaded and angry at the world, start hating women as they fall into that other spectrum, and think that's the solution. That's not the solution. The solution is to have a backbone, change the why that you're doing things, and to really focus on developing yourself as a man. If you focus on that, then these other things will come into your life. But if you're focused on trying to get the validation, trying to get the approval of women, it's always going to come across as needy. It's not going to matter what you do, because there's no technique, there's no methodology that's going to help you if that's what your focus is.
Yeah, and I think it's true what you say, John. I've seen a lot of podcasts on YouTube and all that, and it seems like every chance a man gets, they're just dogging the woman. They're just making her that
Mhm.
she's this, she's that, and I don't see that much positivity when it comes towards some of these women. Pretty much, it's just like you said, this red pill, blue pill, black pill, whatever it is. It's in other words, it's always putting the woman down at every chance you get. And you know, what's the purpose of that?
Right. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, John, again, thank you so much for being on People Are Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, that was John Sonmez, and you can find him at bulldogmindset.com. That's bulldogmindset.com. John, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. Much appreciated. You can find me at peopleondating.com. That's peopleondating.com. You can also find me on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. From there, please go to Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, leave a review, like it, share it, tell us how we can make this show better. And before I go, guys, just a couple more things. Remember, this is just a conversation. There's no judgment on this show. Please leave your comments on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, wherever you feel comfortable, leave your comments. Anyway, guys, on behalf of peopleondating.com, my name is Will Morales. Until next time, thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and please stay safe. Bye.